Coming up, Tom Arnold joins Illeana in just a minute.
Welcome to Popcorn Talk, featuring movie discussion, news, and interviews. Popcorn Talk. We talk movies.
And now, it's the I Blame Dennis Hopper podcast, starring Illeana Douglas. Eavesdrop with Illeana as she interviews Hollywood's most prominent players about filmmaking, acting, and what really happens on the set of your favorite flicks and TV shows.
Hi, everyone. It is Illeana Douglas. Welcome to the I Blame Dennis Hopper podcast. I'm here with my lovely co-host, Tamara Bird.
Hi, everybody.
And it's so nice to see you. And I'm just going to tell everyone I've been very sick for the past. So if
there's no denying it.
So if this is unplugged and raw and what I look like slapped together in 5 minutes.
Oh my goodness, you've been sick for a while, and you have quite. If they're not looking at the shot on YouTube, you have your Kleenex, which is a proper hanky, which is like a vintage lover, I would expect.
Thank you.
You've got like teas, Alka-Seltzer Plus, inhaler,
licorice tea, throat coat.
Green
I've been living
drink.
on these greens, and then some alkaline
water, and then some licorice tea.
Yeah, but it was interesting driving over here. It's my first driving in about 2 weeks. Well, one thing, number one, is it took me back immediately to my acting teacher, Sanford Meisner, who used to say that when you were sick, it was like a stroke of genius to do a scene because you were already so
impaired,
kind of vulnerable. You couldn't put up any guards or anything like that, and so sometimes he thought that the best scenes would come out of
there's just so much truth there because you can't put on any artifice because you're just keeping standing up.
Exactly. So this is I have no shields today. So
man, I hope there's a big shield between you and I because I am not catching this.
No, I'm on all sorts of antibiotics and things like that. But boy, you realize how vulnerable you are. And I was thinking, I wanted to tell a couple of stories about being sick. One was I remember doing, when you do a play, and Broadway and off Broadway. I've never made it to Broadway, but off Broadway. Again, the show.
The show must go on.
The show must go on.
But for real.
I got very, very sick, and I missed like one show, which they were really upset about. But in order to come back, I had to work sick. And they had I remember they had this cot for me just off stage, and I would go on stage, get sick.
Lie on a cot in the wings?
Yeah. Go on stage, act, go off stage, get sick, go back on stage. It was surreal.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as as getting sick. And there's the movie that I did with Dennis Hopper called Search and Destroy. Again, there's when we had to do a reshoot because something happened. I don't know. They messed up my close-up. But anyway, when they did the close-ups, I sound like this. So it's one of these cut in and she sounds awful. Cut back, she's fine. But yeah, there's not much you could do. I was bragging a couple weeks ago, right, that my Carol, I could do my better by Carol Channing though.
Oh
right?
My gosh.
When I'm sick like this.
Yeah. I remember John Cryer. I don't remember if he told the story on the show, but he tells it in his book when he was here on the podcast a couple months ago, and talked about how he was shooting a movie in San Francisco, and he was the lead, and he got sick.
Yes.
And couldn't go on. And this is very, very early in his career. It might have been his first film as a lead. And so, he's away in San Francisco, staying in a whatever apartment or a hotel, and, called somebody and said, oh, well, I'm sick, so I guess, and they said, well, then we're going to have to shut down production. And he was like, oh, that's great. Everybody gets a couple of days off.
Right.
Not realizing how devastating that can be to a production when it shuts down because nobody works,
right.
and it's just like dollars go down the toilet during that.
Well, like I said, in the theater, it just doesn't exist. You have to go on. On my sick bed, all I did was watch movies, But the best one, I'm going to highly
How is that different from every other day? Okay, not.
I guess I wasn't watching movies for work. It was more movies that you could,
Fall asleep to?
Laura, The Ghost of Mrs. Muir,
Oh, nice.
Diary of Anne Frank.
Oh,
So that's, but the best one I saw happened to, I'm going to highly recommend a documentary by Werner Herzog, always great, but it's called Grizzly Man, about a man who goes to live with these bears in Alaska. And he's becomes completely unhinged and, begins to think he's a bear. And the film itself is incredible, and Werner Herzog sort of sees something in this guy, this self-destructiveness that is unbelievable. But here's the thing with the movie, it is so brilliant, and it will stay with me for the rest of my life. You can never, fair warning, you can't watch it twice. It's so disturbing because every step of the way, and I didn't know anything about the movie, I just saw Werner Herzog. So the movie came on, and within about 30 seconds, you go, this guy's going to be eaten by a bear. I'm like 90% sure. So the whole movie's like a Hitchcock film where you're like,
is it happening now?
You're like,
Is it happening now?
at what point is he brings his girlfriend to, it's just a complete disaster. But Grizzly Man, Werner Herzog, I highly recommend it. Of all the films that I saw while I was sick,
That's
and
a
then
good one.
Managed to do some research on Mr. Tom Arnold, my guest
Yeah.
today, who I adore. We've been in a number of films together. We're going to get to
Should we bring him in?
so much. Yeah, with Tom.
Let's do it.
Thanks for bearing with me, everyone, for me being sick. I really appreciate it.
We appreciate you.
But I miss everyone. I missed everyone, so I needed to come back here. You know Tom Arnold from his work in films like True Lies, The Stupids. We're going to talk about The Stupids. This is a personal favorite of mine, McHale's Navy. Good Dick. I don't know that one. 9 Months, of course, I love with Hugh Grant. On TV, of course, he was on the original Roseanne. How can we forget? NCIS, New Orleans, which you're coming back on. Sons of Anarchy, I haven't seen that. Of course, you were on the award-winning Easy to Assemble every season.
Easy to assemble.
You have been a stand-up for many years, and your
Oh my gosh.
Hulu special comes out in a number of weeks. Tom Arnold.
It's so good to see you.
It's so good to see you. I know I haven't had my Tom fix.
I know. It's wonderful.
It's funny when people ask me, I think Kevin Pollak asked me this when I did, but people always ask me, like, who is your favorite person to work with, or who surprised you the most? It's always you. I always say you.
My gosh.
You're the
I'm
nicest
honored.
person I've ever
Well, we've had some good times.
I adore you.
You're my longest relationship of my life. That's true.
That's
You're
fun.
100%. You're 100%. You know that?
Yeah, no, I know.
We were meant to be together.
I know.
Every 2 years. That's why we're still strong. That's true.
I can't believe we haven't.
We've been through some stuff.
I know.
We don't just do a project together. We get involved. We've got something goes crazy with the director or the producer or something.
Or
Oh, let's talk about those
Star.
stories. Let's do it.
We're gonna get to all of those. Trust me.
Yeah.
Okay. And you always say yes to me, which is amazing. I don't think you've ever turned me down for anything, any of my harebrained schemes.
No, you do have some put on a show. Let's put on a show stuff.
I know.
Yeah.
We're gonna get to all of that. Okay. I've never even asked you this, and all the times.
Go for it.
The times that we were together and talking about life and everything, and I would watch you drink pitchers of Diet
Diet Coke. Yeah.
Diet Coke. Haven't seen that. After the waiter would bring 2 glasses, you'd go, can you just bring a pitcher?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's so good for you.
I know.
It turns out.
Okay, yeah, I know you grew up in Iowa, of course. Do you still have that Andy Warhol painting of John Wayne?
I sold it. I did sell it. I know. It was a great thing, and I think that once the kids were born, I think I kind of needed to. I was kind of finagling things around, and probably maybe I sold it too early, but we were kind of finagling things around, and that's one of those things I
You have to.
wanted to be home.
Yeah.
Okay, I wasn't working, whatever.
Yeah.
But I thought, well, I get that's a lot. But I probably should have stayed, I get it back.
Yeah, you never know. But it was good. At least you had it. You had it
I
once.
did have it.
That was nice.
Yeah, I did have it.
I
I
had
had a
not-
bunch of Warhols.
I know.
I think I might have some still. I don't know. Yeah, I got something. I don't know what I have.
Well, that was the one I
sold everything.
admired.
Yeah, that was a great one. It meant a lot to me, and because
was
John
bo-
Wayne was born in Iowa,
Of course.
But then I said, and my wife said, "Oh, you don't have to sell the means a lot." And I thought, well, my son means a lot. I wanted to be home at first, and it was either that or do something crappy. And I thought, well, I'll just do this, and then we can breathe a little bit, and. No, but things don't matter once you get. And
No.
I've had it, and you saw it.
Yeah.
And we could tell this fun story.
Yeah.
And I could have said I still have it, and you would have thought I had it.
I have
and
a
it would have
couple
been cool.
things like that.
Yeah,
that
tell me. Yeah, but tell me. What do you
Well,
have?
it's the first thing I ever bought in show business, which at the time it was, I got this, it's a 8-sheet
Right.
Italian breakfast at Tiffany's.
Oh, well, that's amazing.
And
I thought you were going to say a vibrator. no, I didn't. I thought that one.
but that's, and it's now worth kind of a pretty penny.
Right.
And I've often thought, should I
Yeah.
sell it? But man, it's so pretty.
No,
And
that means I
love
see you
looking
holding
at
on to
it.
that. Well, because you have a reverence for show business, even
Yeah.
reading your book and your stories, and it really makes sense. Plus your freaking family. I mean, it makes more sense. I think also the way you've lived your life. When you've been. My hodgepodge, not that you didn't have a friggin' hodgepodge childhood, let's be honest. But,
Swiss Family Robinson.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. But I had 7 stepfathers. And then I've been married a few times. Every time you get divorced, you just put everything in the trunk and move on. And then, I don't want to think, well, let's move on to something new. And so collecting stuff, it's always been kind of weird for me. I just wanted stuff, and also I think that when I first moved out to LA and became a writer on the Roseanne Show and a producer, and I got a real paycheck, I got all the stuff I wanted. Like, here's my stuff. Here's my guy stuff, my watch, my Rolex, my Bentley, and then once you got that, I got 100. One of the first things I did, I went down to Ralph Lauren there in Beverly Hills. I bought 100 black XXL. Those the short sleeve T-shirts, because I wanted to have so many that I could just go in my closet and put on another one.
Right.
So I had those, and I got Rolexes for everybody that worked for us, like literally maybe 300 or 400. People still have them. Pete Siegel, the director, he's a big director. His kid wore the Rolex I gave him to his graduation just recently, and people have Rolexes I gave him. I don't have them. People they have more anyway. So I did all this extravagant stuff, and then I was over it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know what you mean, but it's. Do you
But
think
stuff means stuff. That means something to you. That's the first thing you did, and you probably took care of it, and you probably took. Yeah.
the idea that I could, as I said, just growing up and like being able to buy food was still a revelation to
Right.
me. Getting into show business, the idea that you could buy groceries and but it stuck with you. I was very thrifty for many years, but I do.
But it never. But I think once you live like that, do you find you never quite get over that? Like
Never.
You look at a couch and when you had to get money out of the couch, out of the cushions,
Yeah.
And you change, you never quite, accept, I think that's good in some ways, but also, at least for me, when I started making millions of dollars on movies, I was like, oh, this isn't money. I just blow, like, this isn't real. When I worked at the meatpacking plant and I was scratching by, that was real. And so I think a smarter gentleman would have said, well, here's what you do with money. You put it over here. You don't just give it away and throw it away.
I don't know a single actor that did that plan. It was like the first paycheck you get, you just blow. I just blew all of it. You just think it's going to be the gravy train.
Right.
And you find out.
Yeah.
That's.
But you do appreciate stuff. I think perhaps as you get on later in your career and you aren't making $5 or $6 million a movie, and you can still appreciate, getting something
Per diem.
Per diem, right?
My favorite word. Okay, I want to take you back because we have so much to cover.
Yeah.
So growing up in Iowa, do you remember the first movie you saw and who took you to see it?
Well, my grandma, Dottie, took me to see. She was, Dottie Arnold was the president of the Atomo Community Players, which was our acting thing, which is, and I worship, my mom didn't raise us, so my Dottie was, she was a big influence artistically, but she took us to a play, took me to a play, or to a movie called Houseboat. And this movie was starred Sophia Loren, and this movie got me because it was Cary Grant, and he had these three. He was a single father. He had these kids, and then Sophia Loren played. I don't know if you babysitter.
Yeah,
anyway,
like his sort of nanny.
And a nanny, and oh my God! And for me, a kid with a young father and no mother, and I was in love. This still to this day, man, that movie gets me, and Sophia Loren gets me, and I got to meet her later in life. I'm in love with her. My dad was in love with her. My dad saw it too, and that was like it wasn't just this fantastic movie. Seeing a movie at the Atomo Capri Theater downtown Atomo on the big screen was such an amazing experience. But seeing this movie, that I thought, oh my God, I want Sophia Loren to be my mother, and my dad is Cary Grant, and I wish, but this is my life up here. This is what is possible. This is, I could, it's not just me living here in Atomo, Iowa, the dream. Oh my God, anything is possible. Look at this movie. This could be my life.
Yeah. I felt that same way when I saw movies like that. I did. So you thought they were real? And,
Yeah, I didn't think, I want to be an actor. I thought, oh no, I want that woman to be my mother.
And what'd you say to Sophia Loren when you met her?
Oh my God! I said I love her. I told her that story, of course, and she couldn't have been. I met her at the House of Blues.
Wow.
She was there for some reason, and came down there, and I met her and her son, and of course I tell her the story, and she was very kind and very nice and very voluptuous, and still Sophia Loren. I mean, geez Louise, come on, and so amazing.
And what other So at what point were you funny growing up? Did you tell stories?
Well, I when you don't have a mother in your small town, well, that's the thing. When you try to find your place, and I was the oldest of these three kids, and the walk into school in this small town, as far as the other kids in the neighborhood, the bigger kids, it's a gauntlet. They make any comment about anything that's not, And I realized in grade school, if I could be funny or inappropriate in class, then the other kids that wanted to, murder me would laugh instead of, fighting after school every time. And so I was like, I should do that. And so, I made jokes. And Johnny Carson was on it. He had the great. Where's the thing where he put the thing on his head? That dead big man.
Karnak.
Karnak. And I did Arnak because I'm to Arnold, and I do that at parties at our keggers. And people love that, sort of, and I'd make fun of the people that wanted to kill me, like the big rednecks at our school, and they would laugh, sort of, and that sort of seemed like a way
Got you off the hook.
Now, growing up, did you have any idea? I mean, I can't imagine that growing up in that. Is it a farm community or is it more manufacturing?
Both. It's farm. I mean, the meatpacking plant that I worked at was the centerpiece. I mean, a lot of times you have a meatpacking plant right on the outside of town, but it was really in the middle of the town. So you imagine, and we had John Deere, but we all worked on farms.
So what gave you the confidence to think that you could climb out of that? Because I grew up in a very rural area, and anytime I expressed any sort of artistic things, people would just laugh at me. Like they'd just say it was never going to happen. But I held this. And that's what he's talking about in the book. I used to pretend that people were my friends, like Richard Dreyfuss.
Oh yeah, that inner life, right?
Yeah, yeah. And so I'd think like, one day but I couldn't. I knew I couldn't tell anyone. But did you have that?
Well, there's two things. One, Dottie, my grandma, had me in some community theater plays. I played one of the kids in The King and I. And Anna, the lady that played Anna from our town, Mrs. Bixby, was the most beautiful woman in Ottumwa. And at the end, we had the little program, and I went up to her, and I said, maybe we just have a program. And she signed it, and then she leaned over and kissed the top of my head. And I remember thinking, oh, my God, if that's what acting is like, I'm going to be an actor when I grow up. And then so, I think and I also know this from just more inspirational. When we were upstairs and my dad would get home from work, my dad just, when you're a single guy, when you're 21, you got a 4-year-old, a 3-year-old, a 1-year-old. I mean, that's crazy. So you get home from work, didn't hear a lot of laughing at our house, but when there was a Bob Hope special, our dad would laugh. And I'd say to my brother, what does this Bob Hope do? And so that was something I really wanted to do. And when I moved to LA, one of the first things I did was a Bob Hope special. And Bob Hope called my dad and wrote this stuff. And I remember thinking, well, that's it. I never go. Became friends. I became friends with Bob Hope. I went down to his place. He taught me about the USO, which I still do. But I, it wasn't so much. There was a teacher, Jane Thompson, in junior high and then on in high school, who said, because I had no confidence. And I did, I did some acting. I really wasn't involved with the big productions, the big plays, but I did the independent acting and I did all the speech stuff. And I won. We did 30 pieces of silver, and I won this state competition with Kathy Swallow was her name. Can you imagine the joke she had to put up with? And but she was amazing. And she and I won this thing. And I remember Jane Thompson saying, you really have it. Just this one teacher believed in me. And that was enough, with all the, because nobody did that in my town. It just wasn't. Right. You worked at the meatpacking plant, you worked at the factory. Some kids went to college, but I knew, that's why I knew I had to get, because I had no money, I had to get the meatpacking plant so I could get to college, so I could get to the University of Iowa, because I could get on stage. Like, that was the plan. Just get out, get my foot out there. It took me 3 years at the meatpacking plant on the kill floor to get the...
I'm not going to ask questions about that just because I can't.
No, they're good times. Good times.
Now, when you met Bob Hope, did he? I mean, to me, I've often remarked this, that you bear a striking similarity for me.
But I'm kidding. I will say this
to Bob Hope. No, I've said this all the time. And you met Phyllis Diller.
Oh my God! I went over and took her on a date. Is what I did. I went to Phil Diller's house. You know how these things at auctions for charity, and me and Kenny Rickle, buddy of mine, Nancy Davis's husband. Nancy started the Race to Race MS and the amazing organization, amazing woman, and her husband and I been on a date with Phyllis Diller, and we went to her house. We got to have the fitness night, and she took us in this special room, and there's a lit up painted portrait of Bob Hope. She loved him so much. I mean, this is like for real, and it was the most wonderful night of our lives. I mean, we got to escort her to dinner, and oh my God, we said, where do you, oh my God, we said, where do you want to go? She said, we're like, do you want to go to the Ivy? Do you want to go to Spa? Oh, no, we're going to, I can't remember the place that she wanted to go. We're going fancy. And it was one of these places where, the older folks go, but it
was.
Like
a Cheesecake Factory.
Yeah,
Dupars.
Oh, it was fancy. Oh, she loved it. And it was wonderful, but
he was like the
him.
great love of her life.
Yeah, yeah. But also, she was an amazing, groundbreaking comic. This woman, it really blazed a trail that Joan Rivers and the other people went after. But Phyllis Diller, incredible. But she was in love with Bob Hope. But I have to say this about Bob Hope. Yes. I did the first special with Roseanne. And Roseanne's a huge star, right, at the time. I think we were playing, I played one of the Robin Hood. He was Robin Hood, and I was one of the guys, and she was Maid Marian or something. And he was older. He was reading cue cards. And then he's chatting with me, and he's like, hey, Tom, who's the broad? He met Roseanne. He didn't know who she was. Oh, so I thought that was funny. Anyway.
Who's the broad?
yeah. Can I tell you my Frank Sinatra story really quick?
Please,
so I went down. So another one of the things we did, went down and Barbara Sinatra, who passed away recently, Frank's wife, great woman who started the Barbara Sinatra Child Abuse Center down in Palm Springs. It's a great organization. And Roseanne and I went down there. Marvin and Barbara Davis, friends of ours, they had these parties. We were doing out here, and they had parties where they had their Christmas parties had the Radio City Rockettes as you walked in, and we go over there for dinner sometimes. It'd be Michael Jackson and Sidney Poitier and then Don Rickles and then and Frank Sinatra, and just it's crazy. We're sitting at a table with these people like, what is going on? So anyway. We go down and we speak at the Barbara Sinatra Child Abuse Center, talk about our history as children. And as I was speaking, this is during the day, and I look over, and Frank Sinatra is standing off to my side with a drink in his hand, and he's like, as I'm speaking, telling my story of what happened to me as a child, he's like, that son of a bitch. You know, I'd kill them. I mean, he's affected by my story and talking about killing my molester, but he's loud. He's saying it out loud, and it's during the day, and I appreciate it. I kind of chuckled. Afterwards, he invited us back to his place there, and then me and George Slaughter and some of the men, he invited up to his bar in his place, a famous place in Palm Springs.
Wow.
And because no women were allowed at his bar. You know, the old school stuff.
Yes.
And so this is like about 5 o'clock or 5, 6 o'clock, and he's making people drinks, and I just got down to rehab, okay? And so he's like, "What are you drinking, Tommy?" And I didn't want to say I just got out of rehab because I had a feeling he wouldn't understand that. And so I go, "No, I'm good." He goes, "What?" And I go, "Well, you know, the old lady." And he goes, "Hey, no broad could make me stop drinking." And I go, "I guess you've never been with a really big one." And he died laughing. And I know Roseanne told that story too. And you know, love that guy.
That's incredible.
Right.
Just the fact that you met Frank
Right,
Sinatra.
but also him trying to get his head around these stories that he's like, "Oh my God, when I was a kid, nothing happened like that. You know, maybe people stole stuff out of a hot dog cart and." You know, just spending time with the guy. It was just
when you're with someone like Frank Sinatra, I felt this way a little bit. You know, working with Jerry Lewis, it's like you're in like A Wrinkle in Time.
Yeah.
To me, it's the closest to a vein of show business.
Right.
You know, you just feel this electricity. Like
Right,
they
yes.
were that we'll never see it
Right.
again. I
Did
mean,
you ever do the telethon? We did that a few times.
God,
Yeah.
God knows. And you did the telethon
Yes.
too?
Oh yes. Oh yes. Oh
You
yes.
did-
And
you
I
did
did. I
all
went
the
to
great-
Damn Yankees. See Damn Yankees in New York.
I did see Damn Yankees. I saw it out here.
I love
though.
Jerry Lewis.
Oh, he was.
Yes.
I remember.
But you said Peter Sellers is better.
Well,
You.
I was a kid. when
yeah,
I-
but
when I-
still.
but that
you
was,
were alive.
yes, but I got to. But yes, I got to meet.
He's
but
my
Bob
guy.
Hope would have been a good one for me.
Yeah.
You know, for me. Did you ever pitch him jokes or anything?
No,
had
but
his joke writers?
He had his joke writers, and you know, I went down to his place, his spaceship place down in Palm Springs, and hung out with him and Dolores. I actually went down there after he passed away. You know, at the end of his life, you know, comics, they don't retire, and at the end of his life, he was down at the Palm Springs airport greeting people as they
No!
came. I swear. Just sitting there greeting people in his chair. Hello, everybody. You know, and he would show up at the Roseanne set, and we put him in a credit tag or a cold open, and you know, he just liked working, and
Wow.
you know, and Rickles, there's another guy who this last, but Marvin Davis, when he passed away, you know, it's at a real solemn service, and people, you know, got up, and Sidney Poitier Marvin is a guiding light up in the sky. He's millions of dollars to save children's lives, and then Rickles got up and he tried to be sincere, and he's like, you know, God, I see you up there with Marvin. Marvin's got a big piece of roast beef because Marvin was very fat. He got a piece of roast beef on his chest. I don't know. He just couldn't stop it. I mean, and honest to God, they always talk about him making fun of Frank Sinatra, and he would do it with 5 people there at the table, and Marvin was this giant of a man, and he'd say, "Hey, make fun of Frank," and then he would do it, and Marvin would always do this, "What are you doing, Frank? You're embarrassing yourself." But I mean, all that stuff is so true. You know, I saw it. Time and time, they genuinely, these guys loved each other.
Yeah.
It wasn't just for TV or for Vegas. I mean, it was on a day-to-day, you know.
Yes, to me, it's the greatest, just that that era. And you also did you ever do Dean Martin Celebrity Roast?
No, but they were the best roasts. The roasts today make me so uncomfortable.
Yeah, now
I don't like to do
it's gone in a.
I don't like to make fun of people, and I am uncomfortable with people that don't know, men that don't know me, making fun of me. Because I want to take them out and beat the crap out of them. No,
I'm not sure when that happened either. I kind of don't want to think about it. But again, it was like the Dean Martin roasts were.
They were funny, number one. You know they liked each other, and you know they went out and had drinks, and you know they probably had drinks before.
Yes, as confirmed by Rich Little.
Yes. Oh my God, Rich Little. That's a great stories.
In the when they were in the green room.
Yes.
You know, but yeah, it wasn't anything that like, oh, we're gonna tear you apart.
Right.
They wanted everybody to shine.
Right.
That was like
and they had huge stars. Like now.
John Wayne.
Yes, John Wayne and everybody.
Wayne.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yes.
I have to go back because I never is another question I never asked you, because
Yeah.
the whole time I have known you, you have been sober.
Yeah.
But when you did,
Yeah.
when you were doing, I mean, stupid question.
Yeah, go for it.
probably.
Yeah, anything.
But like, how did you get into doing drugs and drinking, coming from somewhere like Iowa, where
Oh, it's easy. Well,
is
I
it
think
just the Hollywood lifestyle, or
no. I'm sure I was born an alcoholic. My mother was a alcoholic, and I also think that, I'm sure.
what did it give you?
What's that?
What does juicing up give you?
Well, I'll tell you a couple of things. What I've learned too, and this is something I had to work on again once my son was born, because I think you think you have everything under control, and then especially if you've had childhood trauma from sexual abuse, because you have it under control. And then I remember the moment my son was born, I went, oh my God, he's perfect, and then I went, oh my God, I was perfect like that too. Because I think when you've had things happen to you, in the back of your mind, you're like, well, I was probably a bad kid. And then you see your son and you realize, oh no, I was like him, and these things happened to me. And as he got older, closer to 4 years old, when the things started happening, I was like, holy crap. That's what I would look like, and these people are doing this. Oh my God, it's just unconscionable. And I think I know it really started affecting me, and people people warned me. They said, be aware. So I've had to do a lot of work, and this summer, last spring, because I need to be, a good parent, but also, if you know my story, you know that when I first got out of rehab, it took a little time, and I went and found the pedophile from my neighborhood and confronted him, and then 30 other kids did from my old neighborhood, and we shut him down and made sure he couldn't adopt any more boys. This is after, as an adult, felt like, okay, it's done. I always like to feel like, okay, it's done. You don't have any own me anymore. I've taken care of it. But I think that when you have kids, and I know this too from other people, that one of my heroes, when I first came to start talking about this, there's a woman named Marilyn Vanderburg from Denver, and she was Miss America. And she's one of the first people that came forward in 1991 and talked about incest. And her father, when she was Miss America, when she was in high school, he would sneak into her room and he would rape her. And there's this huge Denver powerful family. And she came forward first before Roseanne and I had talked about it. Mm-hmm. And she's still friends with me. And when she was, when she was in her 40s, all of a sudden became one day, she was like paralyzed physically and couldn't understand what was going on with her. Went to all these doctors, and what the problem was, her daughter had just turned, I think, 12 or 13, and they went back. That's the age when her father started. So there's this connection to be aware of, and so knowing that about my son, I went back. And here's the thing: there's physiological things with some of us, but if you've had trauma, and the way to deal with trauma if you're a child, the way God makes us, we can deal, kids in concentration camps. How do you get through that? There's a thing in our brain that just makes you go wherever you got to go to survive that. That doesn't mean it goes away when you get out of there, but
Right.
in the moment, and through trauma therapy, which I highly recommend to people, has done a lot this year, you could go back to that moment. And the thing about trauma is, man, I could smell the laundry on the line of the back of the guy's house. I can tell you what the wood looked like. And you could go back there, and through trauma therapy, you could go back in that moment. And the thing is, if you were walked into a room,
Right.
remember, you also were walked out of that room. And through trauma therapy, you could get yourself back out of the room, so that every time somebody hurts your feelings, or every time somebody confronts you, you aren't in that moment. Maybe you're now out on the front porch at least, okay? And so you don't react that same way. So, but also the thing is, when you're in the middle of whatever trauma, if somebody's hurting you, you disassociate. That's what I did. I disassociated, and it's something I've used throughout my life. And the thing about drugs and alcohol is it's instant. And I remember the first time I chugged a tall boy. I was on the football field. This guy was probably 12 years old. And this guy started giving us beers, and I started feeling that thing. I was like, oh my God, this gets me there. That way, I don't have to sit there and use my head and try to get out of my head and get to that other place. man, this is like a hyperlink to that other place, that disassociation. I want to feel like this all the time. So that's alcohol and drugs took me out of this grungy place where my head was, this reality, to this other place. And it's a bad, obviously it's a bad, and then you need more drugs and more things.
Right.
So, I mean, it will kill you, because that's what it's meant to do. That disease is constantly, it wants to kill you.
Do you think, it's interesting going back.
Is there a laugh track for this show?
Going back, I was watching all sorts of, Jay Leno, when you'd go on the Tonight Show and everything. That's me knowing you.
Yes.
And, but this wasn't anything. I mean, you only started speaking out, relatively recently. I
mean about this?
Yeah, it was.
Well, there's two things. One is like, I remember when
about 10 years ago or so.
Well, it'd probably be 91, 92, right, like that. So it's been a while. But I also felt like something I noticed when I got out of rehab, I went to therapy, and men were like. And it was weird. I went back to my old hometown on the street, and I kind of tried to look up my childhood friends, and a lot of the boys who are men now wouldn't talk to me because they're embarrassed about it, and their sisters did. And they're embarrassed. Like they thought, oh, this is a gay thing, and I was like, oh my God, we were 4 and 5 years old. How was it? It's a man.
Yeah.
And so my thing was like, I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to say, because in the back of my mind. I didn't want to be at Walmart in Tumwa, Iowa, and have this asshole come up behind me and go, see that famous guy? I effed him when he was a kid. So I'm like, I'm going to own this guy. I'm going to track him down. I'm going to show him his place of work. And he's a big businessman now and a big church leader. And my brother, we got a private eye, and I showed up right where he worked. I went right to the woman at the front, and she was like, oh my God, look, it's Tom Arnold. I go, I'm here to see Terry Williams. And she's like, I'll tell him you're coming. I go, don't. And I handled it really well because I practiced, because I didn't want to get violent with him and have him hurt me again by getting in trouble. And it went well, and I confronted right there, and people heard. Trust me, I wasn't trying to hide it. And then I went right from there to it was in Des Moines, so I went right across to the Iowa State Capitol, and Terry Branstad was the governor then. He's a Republican, very conservative. I went right in his office and said, you got to stop this guy for adopting another boy. And I said, I went to all the authorities, and statute of limitations is over. And he's like, oh my God, Tom, that's a federal offense you're asking me to commit. Get out of here. Even asking me is a federal offense. You did not come here. And then I left there, and I was disappointed. And then 2 weeks later, my brother called me and said, oh my God, or less than 2 weeks, he said, there's been a snafu with the paperwork. He couldn't adopt the child. So I know that guy, even though he's a buddy of Trump's, went out of his way and helped me do this thing. He's the ambassador to China right now. But anyway, so people generally want to help. Then I did this. I thought, have I done enough? I've confronted the guy. I put the word out. And then so I had my farmhands go 6 blocks around his house and put up posters kid high that said his face, his crimes, his address, and his name every other night for 6 weeks to warn all the kids in his neighborhood. And then by now I'd said his name on Oprah, and because everybody's like, you can't say his name in case he'll sue you. So I said, I'm not going to say his name in case he'll sue me, but I'm going to call him Terry Williams. I said right into camera, and 30 other kids came forward, and then it was over.
Wow.
So it's a good thing.
That's really.
So anyway. Yeah, I mean, but if people can put a stigma of saying, oh, I don't want to talk about it because this makes me feel less masculine, or this makes me feel less feminine, or this makes me feel like a whore, this makes me feel, then they win. So you just keep plowing forward. It's like the Me Too stuff. They try to shame all these women, or it has to be a certain way, and that's bullshit.
Yeah, no, I mean,
I'm sure know more than me.
Well.
Yeah.
We don't have enough time in the show. Okay, I want to make sure to get to your movie stuff.
Oh yeah.
Too, but
how about my Viceland show? My new Viceland show.
What's it called?
I don't know. It has something to do with Trump. Trump and his tapes. The tapes I'm getting every day.
I know. There's you're a big
Instead
get,
of just talking on Twitter, I'd say let's do a TV show, and we'll just show everything.
I think that's
so
good.
everything you want to see about Trump gonna be on this show.
Oh God. Okay.
It's the first time I've talked about it on the air because
Yes.
I'm not supposed to yet, but I'm doing it here with you. Are we on the air?
We're
Yeah.
not.
Oh, good.
Yeah, we're on the air. We're not streaming live.
We're
not
but-
streaming
but
live.
it will be streaming in the
We're
next-
gonna
You
we're gonna
say
get
that.
to all of your. I mean,
don't care.
It's so surreal. You're part
here
of the
with you.
reality show now. You've been sucked in.
Yeah.
But we're gonna get to that.
Oh, good. I
With
want
the
to be.
with Roseanne coming back.
Oh, my
and
God,
the-
yeah, let's talk
it's
about
like
that.
an alternative
I
reality.
know. How weird is that?
We
deal?
had a celebrity garage. One of the many things I hooked you into.
Oh, that's right.
And we sold all things from the Roseanne show.
That's right.
Now they're
I should
probably-
have saved those. That's worth more than the Warhol.
Yeah. Now, okay.
I-
Let's get to some of your movies because
Yeah.
I want to talk about this. True Lies with James Cameron, of
Yes.
course. That's sort of a landmark.
And Arnold,
film.
who's
Arnold,
recovering in the hospital as we speak.
Bless
God
his
bless
heart.
him.
You think he'd
Bless
come
his
on and-
heart. Oh, come on.
Bless his heart.
He had his heart fixed. Is that what you said that? He's fine.
You think he'd come on and do my show, do my podcast? Probably not.
No, but
No, I know. I'm kidding. Think he'd go to the gym with me and
yeah, he
That
probably,
he would do.
honest to God, he would do that.
Maybe you
Okay.
should take him to tap class.
He would do that.
Take me to
That would
dance
be
class.
hilarious.
Yeah.
He probably would do that. He's weird.
I would do that. I'd go to
Yeah,
the gym
he
with
does
him.
weird stuff.
I need to come back after this
He
illness.
would go shoe shopping with you. He likes that.
Was True Lies your literally first film?
Well, I was in Freddy's Dead
Oh,
with Johnny Depp, but that was my first moment. No, my first film was Stephen Frears' Hero, where my first scene in a movie was
With
with
Dustin
Dustin
Hoffman?
Hoffman. Yes. So that was my first
I
scene.
auditioned for that film.
Did you?
I didn't get in it.
Yeah.
I auditioned for a lot of things. Okay, but True Lies. Did you
really my first film.
Working with James Cameron?
Yes.
So what did you? I mean, you'd been working on television.
Yeah.
What was he a good director?
Yeah.
Obviously, he's a good technical
guy.
in action.
Yeah.
Did he give any sort of emotional directing?
He, I think once he picks the actors, he's like pretty,
Yes.
but he let me ad-lib a lot. But if
Yeah.
I did it his way once, I mean, he was pretty,
Yeah.
I think he knew how to, he certainly knew how to coach me,
Yeah.
And then
yeah.
if I ad-lib too much, he'd be, do one, just do the script. And then he'd go, okay, now, smart guy, do 17 different takes. And he would make him setups just to punish me.
Yes.
But, a lot of us say to him, he's a great guy. We're still friends to this day. We're getting together for lunch this week. And very rarely I see Arnold all the time. Him, Jamie Lee, I love her.
Yeah.
Liza, I
Great.
hear from. I just very rarely do you.
Well, that's sort of,
group.
that was your persona.
Yeah.
And,
Well,
that's sort
we're
of
our,
kind of your-
that's our. If you
that's
see
your
Arnold,
Bob Hope.
no.
That's
yeah.
like your Bob Hope, like funny sidekick.
Right.
Kind of a persona.
Yeah.
Was it a favorite day of shooting at all? Did you have any days that were particularly fun or did you
Let me
know
think.
it was going to be a big hit?
No.
You just had fun.
No, but I remember this because, boy, I was publicly not. People didn't like me, and Jim had to. I didn't realize how much he had to do. He had to say he's going to be in the movie, or else. And Fox was like, no, and he's like, okay, good, I'm taking it to Paramount. They're like, what? I know that they wouldn't put me in the trailer because people, I was going through a divorce with Roseanne, and she was saying all these hideous things, and then they went to screen the movie to test it, and it comes up there. True Lies, James Cameron, hey, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, hey, Jamie Curtis, hey, Tom Arnold, boo. But at the end of the screening, when they filled out the cards, the person they liked the most was me. So that's what they knew. Well, this movie, being in a movie could do a lot of. People hated me, but at the end of this movie, they went, actually, maybe he was a pretty good guy. Not that they knew me before or after, but.
That's how I felt when I met you.
Yeah, there you go.
I same thing. I had we were almost in a film together called The Kid and I.
Oh yeah,
And,
the film I wrote.
Yeah, and I was kind of bummed out because
Oh
I
my
had to
gosh.
choose between being in that movie and Pittsburgh with Jeff Goldblum.
Oh my gosh.
I couldn't do both. They were
Right.
at the same time. But
Oh my God, I wish you would have.
okay, let's talk about 9 Months with Chris Columbus, romantic
Oh
comedy.
yeah, great.
Which kind of I love this movie. It's a really fun movie, but it got badly reviewed.
My co-star got arrested with a prostitute when we were promoting it.
There's that.
Hugh Grant. Yeah.
It was his first American film.
And his first American prostitute. No, it wasn't his first. Yeah, I know. I was so excited because he just done 4 weddings and a funeral.
Yeah.
I was so excited. I just come off True Lies, so it was really our first starring movie for
Yeah.
both of us. And Robin Williams was in it, but he was doing a smaller part because he was doing a favor to the director, Chris, who just directed Mrs. Doubtfire.
Right.
So, it was, for the first 2 weeks, I mean, Julianne Moore was his wife, Jodie Cusack, the great Jodie Cusack's my
Yep.
wife. But for the
Great cast.
first 2 weeks, it was me and Hugh Grant's movie, and we were the cocks of the walk. And then week 3, Robin Williams showed up, and you don't realize how big of a piece of crap you are until you see how much people love Robin Williams. It was stunning. We were in shock. We're like, holy, what is the deal? Oh my God, look at Robin over there. What does he do? Why is he being so nice to me? Is the camera even on? But he's an amazing guy. But Hugh Grant and I were bonded. I thought, oh my God, he's gonna be my best friend forever. No,
That didn't work.
No.
Okay, let's talk about Happy Endings. Don Roos.
Oh, yeah, Don,
incredible
love Don.
film. And
First of all, I married Don and Danny Bukatinsky. There was a small window when Arnold was governor. Arnold really worked hard and I helped with tried to push that Prop 8 to make gay marriage legal when Arnold was governor. People, I don't know that. And there was a small window, and I got a call from Arnold. He says, if you got gay friends, marry them. And I had legally could marry people. So Danny Bukatinsky and Don Roos, I went and married them, I think at the Beverly Hills Hotel. And they're still married to this day. Yeah, go ahead, Don Roos. Yes.
Well, I highly recommend this movie,
Oh,
Happy
yes, Happy
Endings.
Maggie Gyllenhaal.
Maggie Gyllenhaal. Now, will you tell the story about meeting Daniel Day-Lewis on the airplane?
Oh my God. Okay, so
Maggie Gyllenhaal.
Maggie Gyllenhaal and I are in the front row, first class, and I look. I walk by. Guy walks by me, and I'm like, holy crap. I go, Maggie, that's Daniel Day-Lewis just walked by us, and he's in row 4 behind us. And she's like, oh my God, okay, what are we going to do? I go, okay, here's the deal. I'm going to go back to above his head and pretend that I'm putting something in the
Overhead compartment.
And then you come back and pretend you're trying to help me. So anyway, after the plane took off, I kind of walked back there like, oh, okay, I'm over here in this overhead compartment way back here. And she's like, oh, Tom, do you need my help? Okay, let me help you. And it was so stilted and so bad. And then we're like, oh, and he's like, hello, Tom. Maggie, he knew who we were. We're like,
Yeah.
oh my God. Hello, Mr. Lewis. Like couldn't have been nicer or more humble
Yeah.
or whatever. And we got to talk to him and his wife, and just very down to earth. And to see how badly we were acting, and she's a good actor, a pretty good actor, but
Yeah.
our acting was so bad as we were pretending to lift this thing. And then as we got back in our seat in the front, I realized I had his bag. Like I'd actually pulled the bag out during our thing, and then I had to walk back there with my head down and put his bag up, and he knew what I was. He
Totally.
knew it, and he just kind of smiled. And so in the skerfuffle of pretending,
Yeah.
I'd actually pulled his bag down and carried it to the front, like, oh, I got my bag. I'm thinking, and then I realized, oh my God, it's his bag. So then we had to hang dog it back there to put his bag back. Like I thought we'd escaped. Like
Yeah.
we're high-fiving each other in the front. There he is. He can see us high-fiving each other in the front too. He's sitting right behind us. Like, we're such nerds. But that's a big deal.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I get. So you still
Yeah.
get starstruck with people?
Well, yeah. Yeah, it's pretty.
I get starstruck with
really-
people. I
yeah.
love famous people.
Yeah. But who's left?
Well, I mean, Daniel Day-Lewis, it would be pretty. Anthony Hopkins would be
Yeah.
for me.
I
or-
see him. I see him around.
I did one of those bad acting things too.
Yeah.
Like I had to get Anthony Hopkins to notice me.
Yeah.
And it was many, many years ago, and I knew he was going to win the Academy Award.
Yeah.
And I happened to be at this party, and Anthony Hopkins walked in, and just really loudly, I said, "Let's all raise a glass to Anthony Hopkins." And guess what? Here's a tip: if
Yeah.
you do that, everybody will. It's like applauding. Some people will, for whatever
Yeah.
reason, do it.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, everyone like here, and they cheered him, and he, did my glass, and he sort of looked at me and smiled.
Yeah.
Like, oh, thank you. That was very kind.
He's pretty.
I heard he's very
interesting guy.
intense, though.
He's very, very intense. Oh, I had Ronan Farrow and I met at the Beverly Hills Hotel for a discreet breakfast lunch.
Was he in a bathroom? No, I'm kidding.
No, he wasn't in the bathroom, but we met over there, and I thought, well, that's cool. I like him, and we've spoken before about other things
Yes.
off the record, and so, I'm a big fan of his writing. He's a very ballsy and brave kid. And we had a little confrontation with some other media people over there who are on the wrong side of history, and we kind of set this up. And anyway, so I'm also watching how people are responding to Ronan there, because it's a big Hollywood week. The women are so, like, when you're at Beverly's Hotel, you kind of watch how people respond to you. We're in the Polo Lounge. And I want people to think I'm cool too by who I'm with. The women love him. Like, women are coming up there. Friends I saw Lisa Kudrow with Jamie Tatum. I'm like, oh my God, look at your way. Oh my God. But the men friends of mine that saw me with Ronan Farrow were like, what the hell's going on here? What is it? Like big stars. They were like, what is happening? Whoa.
Yeah. Who is it?
Because he's written all the Me Too. And it's funny to see what people think. You think, look who I'm with. What?
That would be a good one. Okay, let's talk about Big Bully. We're going to get to our movies that we've been in. We work with Don Knotts.
That was awesome, too.
Speaking of icons.
Oh, my gosh. Forgot. That was amazing.
And what did you learn just being around Don Knotts? Funny?
He's very funny, very sweet, shy, and I kept thinking, that's what people say about Jim Carrey, who I know now. And they're nothing alike in real life. But no, you just can't help but flash back on how giant of a star he was, how important he was to my childhood.
Oh, yeah.
Still is. I mean,
Mr.
still.
Lippett.
Yeah, yes. People don't remember those movies.
Oh, God. They were a major part of my, the Ghost and Mr. Chicken.
Yes.
Apple Dumpling Gang.
Yes.
I used to love all those movies. Right. But he'd be somebody I'd want to meet.
Yeah, Captain Kangaroo was in The Stupids, I think.
Oh, yeah. So let's talk about The Stupids. Okay. Another movie I love, very misunderstood, with director John Landis.
Yes.
Why didn't this movie work?
Oh, I think because it was terrible. No, it wasn't terrible. It's very interesting. The people that love it really love it.
I love it. Well, I love it.
I think people thought it was going to be Dumb and Dumber. Like that kind of a comedy, and it was different. They did, because it was the same studio that had it, and so it wasn't given it's quirky, man. And I'll tell you what, everybody stuck to it. John Landis did a brilliant job. Everybody did a great job. I did a good job. I did for what it is. It was sold as something different, but for what it is, it's great.
It's a beautiful looking film.
It is. My next door neighbor was Robert Wise from Sound and Music. Literally, there's so many moments in this thing, and everybody did a great job in it. The people after my stand-up shows that drive 3 hours with a DVD or a VHS are fans of the Stupids.
Well, I'm a fan of it. I highly recommend it. I love this. I love the movie. Okay, let's get to our film. The first time I met Tom Arnold, it was a movie called Hacks.
Oh, yes.
And we didn't have any scenes together, but it's my mom's favorite movie that I've ever done.
Oh, my gosh.
Incidentally.
Yes.
She loves this one. But anyway, we were
Stephen Ray.
Stephen Ray, the great John Ritter.
Yes, John Ritter. Who
did you love John Ritter?
I loved him. I did love him. And his son was my son in Happy Endings.
Oh yes, that's
Jason.
right.
No, I love John Ritter.
You did Big Dick too.
Oh yes, that's right.
Right.
So, Jason.
Yeah, with Jason.
Yes.
That movie was shot in my building.
Was it called Big Dick or was it called
Good Dick? Good Dick. Yeah, Good Dick.
I'm sure it was in a movie called Big Dick too. Oh, it was.
Yeah.
Yes. And what's his girlfriend's name? What's her name?
Mariana.
Mariana, yes, she's amazing.
Yes.
And Jason Ritter.
Yeah.
Okay, what a freaking! I love that kid.
I love that kid too.
Yeah.
This to me was the epitome of show business. We were at Tom's house.
Stephen Ray, what a great actor he is. Go ahead.
He was wonderful.
Yeah.
Although he didn't enjoy doing the sex scene with me in the hot tub.
But he was supposed to, he liked it with Jay Davidson because he had a penis.
Anyway.
It was a beautiful penis. So.
You had a television in your bathroom.
Oh, yes.
And that was actually, I just moved to Los Angeles, and I thought that was sort of, I equated that. I was like, I'm going to do that when I get money. And so when I did action and I got some money, I did that.
Yes.
I had a huge television in my bathroom.
You had a Tom Arnold joke on action. With Jay Moore.
We did. We had a lot of jokes. We had Harvey Weinstein jokes.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Oh, then it makes it okay.
Did you enjoy working with Ryan O'Neal? Did you have?
Yes. I like him. I like Tatum O'Neal. I tend to like people. I tend to.
It was it was a low budget movie,
Yeah.
and it was I was of course thrilled, but
you ever play cards at Dorby Walter's house?
I went once
Yeah.
to observe.
Yeah.
But I didn't.
Last time I played,
go
they were
back.
like, Jimmy Woods is supposed to be playing here. And Elliot Gould was sitting next to me, and he's like, oh. Because people never know what people's politics are, not there to talk politics.
Yeah.
But Jimmy Woods, great actor, he and I's politics, and we just hate each other on Twitter.
I know. And I love Jimmy Woods, and
He's off his nut.
I don't know what. I don't talk politics with him though.
Yeah.
I just visit him in wherever he's.
But I
living.
always wonder if they see me, do we have to
No,
get to wrestle?
When I see Jimmy in real life,
Yeah.
we never discuss politics.
Right.
It just doesn't come up.
Right.
So okay, let's go to more movies because we're running. Will you tell
Don't you
the-
think I could kick his butt though?
Yeah,
Look at
you
me,
could.
I'm a
Jimmy
crazy
Woods?
person.
Totally.
I'm like, yeah.
He might be scrappy though. You
You
know.
No,
Yes.
but look, she knows me. I'm a crazy
I feel
person.
like he'd throat punch you or
Yeah, that'd
something.
be all right.
Okay.
He's 100 years old.
Will you tell the story about how you made Dave Foley smoke a cigar?
Well, Dave
next.
Foley. Okay, now you can
We're
help
running
me
out
with
of
this.
time here.
Okay.
I'm telling you,
well, I just
making
know
you
that
tell these stories.
I showed Dave Foley how I could smoke a cigar during a commercial break. Like I took a Cohiba Robusto and I smoked it. And I challenged Dave to a race, basically, to see how fast we could smoke it. And then we went back to work. And then Dave was violently ill.
And then he had to shoot.
Yes. Well, yeah. Yeah.
You shot at Dupars.
Yes, and I was fine because I did that. I had a sports show where I had to smoke a whole Cohiba Robusto during a 3-minute commercial break, and you got to suck hard.
Yeah, I bet you
Just-
were super cool. Okay, then
So-
the next movie we did too. So
Yes.
we're Hacks. We're in Hacks. April Showers, which
Oh,
we
yes.
did in Nebraska.
Yes, that was about Columbine, right?
And these were the years of my traveling with you.
Yes.
And the most beloved person I ever saw wherever I went. I mean, people, just would run after you, and you were always really nice to
That was
people.
nice.
But they would always assign us together because
Right.
they'd tell me that you'd oversleep, and if you're in the car waiting. But we so these were our adventure years.
Yeah.
We traveled throughout.
Well, you like it that I just go to a place, get the hotel, go to work. You like to check things out.
Oh, I travel.
You
I go to see Jesse James's home.
Yeah.
Every day you would be sleeping. Do you remember when we moved hotels and you made fun of the hotel? It was a boutique hotel. And I don't know if you need the visual, but he called his room. I went to the hotel. I said, I need like the best room. It's for Tom Arnold. And they said, we're going to give you the best room. Britney Spears, stayed here. And you called the room Dead Man Walking. Because it was like, you had to go down this long hall, and it was a windowless room. Do you remember what? And then the other thing is, I never could sleep. So I used to, poor Tom, I'd go to your room, and I'd always be complaining about something going on in
That
the
was
set.
good. Those are my favorite times.
Yeah, so we'd come in his room and and talk about movies and things like that. Okay, then we got cast in The Year of Getting to Know Us.
Oh my gosh.
And that was crazy.
Yes. How crazy was that?
That was down in Florida.
Yes.
And another great traveling
Yes.
experience. Do you remember the story about the famous stunt man who had the big stunt that he talked about, and then he finally did it and it wouldn't work?
Phil, first of all, in that movie were you and I, Jimmy Fallon, Sharon Stone.
Sharon Stone
Yes,
and Lucy Liu
and Lucy Liu. Yes,
and Tony Hill.
Yeah, that's right. And coming into there, I was a little nervous because I wasn't sure where Sharon and I stood.
Yeah.
And so I was trying to avoid that. And we had I was trying to escape from the set one day, and they met me, said she wants to see you in the trailer, and then we had a lovely thing.
Yeah.
Tell me this stunt.
Well, I just remember there was this Australian guy
Oh, yes.
who hit on me almost immediately
yes.
the first day I got there. And he drove us to set, and mainly he wanted to sleep with me, but be your assistant.
Right.
Like every
Right.
every movie we ever did, there was always some guy working his way to kind of be Tom's assistant. And I would always, I'd be one of those people who'd I felt very protective of you.
Yeah.
But anyway, he was bragging about his big stunt in the movie. And that it was going to be because Jimmy Fallon has to break a piece of glass,
Oh, right.
and every day I said, God, I can't stand this guy. He's such a blowhard. And you said, no, he's a good guy. He's got this big stunt, and sure enough, the day comes, and I was gleeful because they put in this thing and they explode. It wouldn't break. It cost the movie all sorts of money. Jimmy Fallon was like hitting it repeatedly with golf club. It refused to break, and the guy was mortified and sent away. And I think he literally disappeared from the set, never to be seen or heard from again. And I was thrilled at his demise. I thought that was hysterical.
I do remember that, and I also remember this. I had 10 days off, and they're like, "Hey, where are you going?" I go, "I'm going to Afghanistan." They're like, "What?"
Yeah,
I went
I
to
remember
Afghanistan. They're like, "Whoa! We got insurance. It was a huge."
Yes.
Here's how bad a deal. They were yelling, Holly Weirsman. They were yelling, "You absolutely cannot. We cannot insure you." I go, "Oh, I told them I was coming. They're expecting me. It'll look so bad if I don't. You absolutely can't. It's already been in the paper." I said, "I'm going." "No, you can't." And then his car pulls up, this old car, and this old man gets out. He goes, "Where's Tom Arnold?" And they go, "Right over here." And he goes, I want to thank you for going. I'm a veteran from World War II. Thank you for going to Afghanistan." And Holly Weirsman, the producer, goes, "Yes, we were just thanking him." And then it turns out that was the financier. That was the guy that owned the Caterpillar dealership that financed the movie.
Oh,
and
yes.
suddenly they're like, "We think Tom's great.
Yes.
Go
can't
to
wait for him to
Afghanistan."
go to
And by the way,
Afghanistan.
we about got killed in Afghanistan. But go there. What a
I
crazy thing
remember
to
that.
do. Yeah,
Okay,
go ahead.
one more quick story. Do you remember when I wanted to go to the Fountain of Youth with
Yes,
you?
yes.
And we were going to go to the Fountain of Youth because we were in Florida.
Yes.
And
Which is
St. Augustine.
St.
a
Augustine.
fountain.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
it's these springs.
It's a strip show. It's a what?
No, it's springs, and you drink from the water.
Okay.
And this is one of my favorite show business stories. Is that Sharon Stone,
Oh, God.
delightful Sharon
Yeah.
Stone said, "What are you doing this weekend?" And I said, well, "Tom and I are going to go to the Fountain
Oh,
of
God.
Youth." And she said, "Oh, that sounds so much fun. I never get invited to things
Oh,
like
God.
that." And so I said, "Do you want to come? Let's, I'll invite you." So I called her on the day,
Yeah.
and she answered the phone like this. "Hello." And I said, "Hello, it's hi, it's Illeana." Oh, hi. Then she got all normal. And I said, "Tom and I are going to the Fountain of Youth. Do you want to come?" And she goes, "I don't have time for stuff like that. It's my day off."
This is so good for Illeana's character. This is exactly what happens here. This is why I don't call people. And poor Illeana puts her hand, extends a hand and she gets slapped down.
So it gets better. It's a great story. So I, of course, as I always do, complained to I go, "Can you believe this?" She says, I never get invited. We go to the Fountain of Youth. We're drinking water. We're walking around. And who do we see but Sharon Stone?
Yeah, of course.
And she's there with a date. She's got this guy that's flown in from California.
Yeah.
And, we see her, and she acts like it's totally her idea to go to the Fountain of Youth. And we see her, and we say hi, and she brushes us off. And we leave and stuff. And we have our laughs. And then we went to Ripley's, believe it or not.
Yeah,
and
that was
some other
fun.
stuff. Okay, movie's over. Cut to, we're in Sundance. We got the movie in Sundance, and we're doing a press conference. And the press guy says, "Hey," and he, as they always do, and so come up with the best questions. The guy says, "Anything funny happen on the set? Anything interesting?" And Sharon leans back and she goes, "Well, I'll tell you, one day Tom and I we decided to go to the Fountain of Youth. And we just thought it would be so fun." And I'm literally
I love her.
I'm on the table
I know.
doing what he's like.
This is the funniest part of the whole movie, right here.
And I'm leaning back, and I'm incensed because I have nothing going for me except for that I'm funny.
Yeah.
And I have funny stories, and I'm self-deprecating, and Sharon Stone is literally
Yeah.
telling my
Edits you
story.
out of life.
Yeah.
And
But
I'm-
this is what makes it worth it, because this is the story. Right in this moment, you're telling this story and that's what makes it worth it.
That was
I
hysterical.
remember looking at you like, I'm going,
And what Tom,
because I know it.
what I love about Tom was that the funniest part of the story for Tom
Yeah.
was how upset I was.
Exactly.
Not that she was telling the story, but just that I would be upset that
I'm like, yeah,
she
sure.
stole my story. Okay, our last thing, we're going to get to this because we have another guest coming up.
We do. We have
Easy to
go.
assemble. Do you remember when I made you shoot the sex scene in the middle? He's the best. We had to do the joke was that you were trying to revive my career. We had this ongoing thing. So we were hanging out a lot before you met your lovely wife.
Yeah.
I was your fake.
Way before, yeah.
I was your fake girlfriend.
Still are.
Do you remember when we went out and I held up the sign for because TMZ would follow you, and I decided I'm such a hippie.
Yeah.
They followed Tom everywhere, TMZ. And then I remember once they said to me, "Does Roseanne know you're going out with Tom?" And I decided to use this as an opportunity to protest. And I got a laminated sign that said "TMZ causes cancer," which landed me on the Dr. Phil show.
Oh man, that's great.
Wow.
Yeah, thanks to Tom. But anyway, you said, "What do you have?" You put up with a lot. But anyway, I made you shoot the sex scene in IKEA.
Yes.
And they were absolutely thrilled. We had
Yes.
children going by.
Yes.
As we were shooting.
Well, I
this
love,
thing.
when you pitch that stuff, hearing your initial pitch, I'm doing this show, IKEA, we're going to do sexy. That's like, what? And then I'm like, well.
But it all worked out.
Yeah, it really worked out. It did.
I was doing a web. Can you imagine now what web series have become? And
I
when
know, but when
I-
you were first explaining, I'm like, what is a web? What are you talking about?
Yeah, so why would people do this?
Will
And-
there be lights and people? And
Yeah.
How will people watch this? But I just trusted you.
It wasn't. We lasted.
I was like, this is sad.
It was. But I sent you all the pictures of it recently.
I know. It's amazing.
And we were able to shoot it, and that's how I kind of, that's everything I learned about producing and working with
Right.
actors. And
But a lot of people learned a lot from that. Like
Yes.
a lot of other people are like, oh, I see how she's doing. Okay. But yeah, that's why you need to direct.
yes, well,
Yeah.
that's what I'm doing now. I would love to direct you.
Yeah, and I'll wear my
think you're so-
Marlon Brando LeMay maroon sweatpants.
Yeah, there you
Oh.
go.
Yeah.
The
Velour.
Yeah, you velour.
You
LeMay,
know,
I said.
we were telling funny stories about Year of Getting to Know Us, but again, you're such a talented, serious actor. But it's heartbreaking to watch you. I find it difficult, to watch you when you're serious.
Well, like Cape Fear was easy for me to watch with you. Like it's just.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know. We have to go to these dark places.
Yeah.
Now, I want to end with you because you kind of went back to. Do you enjoy doing stand-up more now than when you were first starting out?
Well, when I first started out, it was it's interesting. Robbie Williams is my neighbor. He's a singer. He's a British singer.
Yep.
And we were talking yesterday. He's a great guy. He's very down to earth. And in America, he's not famous, but everywhere else, he's huge. And we were talking about something we've been working on. Is as we work on ourselves, we have a lot in common. It was after a show when someone compliments you. Our usual move was no, that was a terrible. Actually, I've had a lot better shows. No, and then we take 10 things that were wrong with what they did, the show that you just saw, and now we're actually able to accept. Okay, I guess it was okay, and it is. I enjoy it because I can remember things, and when I first started, it was just exciting, and just the excitement and a ball of
Right.
energy and just being there. And now it's more like I did a show in Kansas this weekend, and there's 2,000 people there, and I'm kind of watching and paying attention. It's a very mixed crowd of different kinds of people. I'm in the middle of Kansas. Also, I didn't know what people were going to think of me because of all this
Right.
Roseanne stuff that's going on now.
Of course.
But yet it's great, and and it's such a big room. I don't know how, and just keeping my focus and doing all this variety of material, it feels really good.
It must be, and being with, you mentioned you guys must be surreal with your former wife Roseanne Barr.
It is so weird
television
because,
show.
well, I knew that the Roseanne show was coming back. I loved working on it. I mean, obviously, it's my big break, but it was also something I was good at. I loved it, and I'm okay not doing it. I did her roast, which is nerve-wracking for me too, and she's not someone I talk to. I mean, I hear from one of my stepdaughters or stepson and stepdaughter once in a while, and I love that. But I don't have a personal relationship, but I also am really good about being grateful and leaving things where they were and moving on with my life. And so I knew that I heard the reboot was coming back. I felt like, somebody should have given me a heads up because I'm going to be asked about it, but I heard it's coming back. I have my own issues with the Donald Trump. I've known him 30 years separately. I've been to the Playboy Mansion with him. I was with the creepy guy. So I have a separate thing with him.
Right.
And so that's ongoing. And then I'd heard that she was suddenly a fan of his, which we'd filmed a special at his place 30 years ago. We knew him. And it was different. It's her politics. I don't care about her politics. But so I hear the show's coming back. Variety asked me a Hollywood Reporter asked me to write a review. I'd written some stuff about gun stuff before. The same person asked me, so I wrote a very fair and kind of a fun review, but also fair. And I enjoyed the show. And I think a lot of people, especially liberal people, said, "Well, Tom, you gave people an excuse to watch the show." So people are kind of criticizing me for writing such an objective review. And yet, the other side is criticized. So, but I did the right. I enjoyed it. I don't care what people say, and so, and then I could see this sort of weird thing happening with her. And I had no idea how deep she was into this. The what do you call it, conspiracy stuff? Like, whoa! I had no idea. Like, so deep into this stuff that she believes and they're pushing out there. This crazy, dangerous stuff. And so, I have to say something about that. I just can't. It's not like, I'm gonna shut up. But no, I've already been doing what I do. I'm
right.
This is long. There's no. So I'm gonna keep. It's just been a weird thing. And it's not like somebody reached out and said, we're doing this thing, and they should do what they. It is weird, and it is weird. A lot of people that write on the show are people that I brought out to. From the Midwest, my roommates, people right. I gave their break did, and which is fine, which is great, but if it's weird, it's not because of me. So, and I more power to them. I wish them all the luck in the world, but
you don't think the phone's going to ring and they're going to ask you to be on it?
Well, no. Here's what I think. It's weird that suddenly they are calling to me like, you need to back off. Like, suddenly I have all the power. Suddenly I am the most powerful person. I am not affiliated with the show. I'm not on the show. And suddenly they're looking at me like, you need to get people to back off. Like, what are they talking? All I've said is she cannot support this internet stuff that says, Hillary Clinton is a pedophile and a murderer, and she can't criticize those Parkland kids and call them Nazis. She just did that again. That's her face on there, and she needs to own that. That looks bad on the show. Remember the old days when you had a TV show, you couldn't do stuff like that?
I know.
That's not me.
Or at least
go take her phone away from her. I'm just doing my life over here.
Right.
Don't look at me. Don't criticize me. Go take her phone away.
Everything lately is just a walking powder keg.
Right.
That's why I'm
here. And I even Sunday I got this. My old stepdaughter, kind of came at me, and I love her, and so we had this full-on therapy session in front of everybody this last Sunday, and finally it got down. I feel for her because she's, it finally got down. The last tweet I sent her was basically the old situation where I basically told her how to do a mild intervention on her mom, and I told her what to do and how to shut off her internet, Wi-Fi, and how to gently kind of take care of her. So here I have helping Roseanne again. Basically, I want to help my stepdaughter. I always want to help people, but if somebody had reached out to me privately and said she's having issues, I would have said, okay, here's what we do. And so it's either like they can't go back to Tom Arnold is the devil because it's not 1992.
Yeah.
It's 2018. I've only talked to her in the last 23 years for 30 seconds backstage at her roast.
Wow.
That's the only interaction. So whatever's been going on,
I can't
it had
believe
nothing
you
to
did
do
the
with me.
roast. That's
I know.
That would be tough. Okay.
Right, but I was kind and
You are
and they
kind.
begged me to do it, and
You're
I thought,
number one.
Yeah,
I cannot say it enough times. But I'm
And I feel the same about you.
favorite
You're a wonderful
person. We've had so many.
We have, and we're gonna have some more. Let's have more.
I love you're one of my
Yeah,
favorite people to
that's how
work
I feel.
with.
That's
We've
how I
had
feel.
so many ups and downs and laughs.
That's true.
And continued
Let's
success.
have some more downs too.
Oh,
I mean,
no,
right? No,
no,
that's
no,
friendship.
And I
no.
cannot be
Because they make
happy-
good stories.
I
as we
could not
talk
be
about.
happier for you, as many people are, that you're a parent.
I love it.
A parent.
I love it.
Your kids are
Yes.
gorgeous.
They're amazing.
I love
They're
looking
fun.
when you post pictures
Yeah.
of your kids. They're
Yeah.
just good looking. Thank God.
Right. I know.
Thank
They don't
God
look anything
they're
like me.
good looking.
But I'll tell you what, give that, that silliness of acting, that buying in. Man, I just buy in. That's that thing that you talk, we
cute
have when we were
kids.
kids. You just get it, you buy into their world.
Yeah. You're cute
I
kids.
think being an act, you could just buy into that.
Yeah. Continued success.
Thank
Please
you.
come back.
Look for Tom on his Hulu special, which comes out any second now.
Yeah.
And his series on Viceland. You can find him on Twitter at Tom Arnold. Thank you,
Yeah.
Tom.
Thank you,
can
guys.
buy Illeana's book.
Yes, buy it. It's
Also,
great.
like us on Facebook.
Like
the
us on Facebook, I will.
podcast is illeanaspodcast.com.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
Check it out.
And as I always say, oh my God, we didn't even talk about the biggest redneck wedding. which
Come
is-
No, it's
back.
off. It's off. Don't talk about it.
But that was funny.
It was funny.
It was very
The
surreal.
big redneck wedding, big redneck vacation, big redneck rehab. Anything with big redneck in front, I did it.
You can whatever you do. It is. I watch it. I even watched
Thank you.
that horrible. No, not horrible.
You can be. You say it.
The thing about where you go off on the mountain with the
Bear
guy.
Girls? Oh my God, that was so dangerous. I thought it was fake until I got there. It was so dangerous. They make you sign a release at the last second that they
Yeah.
can kill you.
I know, I can tell.
We have to go. We have to go. We
All
have
right,
to go.
let's go. All right.
Everyone's life is a movie with a beginning, a middle, and an end. I survived without
Yay.
coughing and sneezing. Thank you,
Yes.
everyone.
All
I
right.
adore you.
Thank
See you
very
next
much.
time, everybody. Thanks.
All right,
From
thank you.
producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Popcorn Talk Network or its owners or principals.